G'day guys, Harvey Norman recently had an offer where if you sign up for their digital newsletter, they will give you a voucher for 50 free photo prints in store. Since I didn't actually have any photos to print, I thought it might be neat trying to convert a full-size poster into multiple photos, getting them printed, and then rejoining it back together to a full-size poster. I did spend a few hours last night making sure every photo I had printed was exactly 6x4, just so there was no cropping or enlarging or scaling, and they should all fit back together perfectly to recreate the original poster. I picked these up today, so let's take a look how they went. I did get two separate posters printed. The first is a poster with all 151 original Gen 1 Pokemon, but using the original sprites. And the second poster I tried printing was the entire NES Metroid 1 map. So we'll see how seamless they actually turned out. So these two, they are printed in order, which is handy. So these two should fit seamlessly, and straight away I can see on Aerodactyl the name's cut off and he doesn't look quite right. So unfortunately they weren't printed correctly. Another thing is they aren't perfectly square. They are very slightly trapezoidal. So it looks like these were cut by hand instead of by a machine. I think if they were cut by a machine, my plan would have worked, but still I'll try reassembling the Pokemon poster and we'll take a look at what it actually looks like. So as you can see, this is far from perfect. A lot of the Pokemon have been cut very slightly and there's chunks missing. Some of them have their names missing. The entire row from 65 to 72 are missing their names pretty much, as are the very first row, 01 to 08. So assuming that all photo centers are going to have the same quality prints, I think the only solution would be to shrink the actual print area you want down, have a very small frame around it, and then fill the rest with just void. And when you get back home, manually cut each one yourself so they are all nice and square with no bits missing. So that was the Pokemon one. Let's take a look at the Metroid map and see if it's any better. Ignore the glare, it was the best photo I could take. But as you can see, the Metroid map was a lot more forgiving with the cutoffs, but you can still see on the far left hand side there's a fair chunk actually missing. And again with the very small item descriptions on the top right and enemies, they are also cut in half, so very hard to see. But I'm a lot happier with the Metroid map than I am with the Pokemon chart. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to rebuild the entire map on my bench, but I do have all the prints. If a similar offer comes along with more free prints, I might try it again, but shrink each photo down very slightly and cut it out myself when they get printed. We'll move over to the laptop now, and I'll show you how I actually ended up scaling and tiling the posters. Okay, we're over on our Windows laptop now, and the first thing we want to do is actually find a poster we want to print. So for this test, I'll just look for a Zelda NES map. Make sure I go to images. If you're only finding low resolution images, go over to tools, go to size, and select large. So all of these images should be very large or relatively large. So we'll just go to the first one, looks promising. And if we mouse over the image on the right hand side, we can see it's 4000 by 1500 roughly. So that's plenty big enough, should be nice crisp details on our photos. So click on that, click on it again just to enlarge it. And that looks perfect. So you can right click save as, but sometimes it does want to save it as a WebP and it's not very handy. So instead I'll just go to copy image and then open up start and go to paint and paste it. So there is our poster that we want to print. The next thing we want to do is make sure that it is in the 6x4 ratio or 3x2. The easiest way to do this is to open up a calculator, and I find it's easier to start with the smaller side first. So in this case it's 4300 by 1400 approximately. So we'll start with the 1400. It's 1408. And I think that'll look good printed on 3 photos tall. So I'll divide that by 3, and it's not quite perfect. So I think instead we'll do 469, which is what it rounded down to, 469.33333. So 469, nice and even, times that by 3, 1407. So if I go to resize, I go pixels, I change 1408, 1407. Make sure you keep maintain aspect ratio ticked for now, otherwise it'll be squished. Click OK. And now if we go back to our calculator, 1407 divided by 3, it's a nice even number. Now for the horizontal resolution, it should be approximately 1.5 times larger per photo than the shorter side. So if I just times that by 1.5. So now we've worked out the approximate width. We want our photo in pixels, again 703.5. We have to divide the current total image width by this number. So 4348 divided by 703.5. And it's quite a bit away, so it's 6.18. We can either squish the image down, which would make the overall poster look a little bit squashed, but I don't think it'll be that noticeable in real life, or we can add some white space. And then you'll have to cut it out manually when the photos come. I think for me, I didn't want to cut anything, so we'll round it down to 6. So it'll be 6 times the original number we worked out, which was 703.5. So 4221. So if we go resize, we go pixels. This time we want to uncheck maintain aspect ratio. And the number was 4221. So the horizontal, we want to change that to 4221. Press OK. And it's very, very slightly squished it. If we zoom in, you can see it doesn't look perfect anymore. But I think over the size of an entire wall, this wouldn't look too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. So what I'll do is I'll save it and we'll just call it Zelda under downloads, obviously. Now the last step is we want to go back to Google. We want to type in online image split. And it's by Pine Tools. So if you just want to narrow it down, type in online image split space Pine Tools. That's the exact tool I used. I've used this for years for various things and I find it really, really great. We'll go choose file. The Zelda poster. There it is there. On the right hand side where it says how to split the image, we want to make sure both is selected. Just left click on it, I accidentally right clicked. We want to scroll down. Now vertically, so how many photos tall we want it. It worked out to be perfectly 3. Again, at the start of it, we just divided the vertical resolution by 3. So I know it was 1407. And again, by 3, it's a nice round number. And horizontally, to double check that, we'll go back to our poster. And again, we want to make sure we have the correct 6:4 ratio. So if we times this number, which was the vertical resolution, by 1.5, so 703.5, if we divide 4221 by 703.5, exactly 6 photos. So we go back to tool, change that to 6, and that should be 18 photos in total. We'll do it as PNG, we'll go split image. We'll go download zip file, which will download all the images as a zip, obviously. And once it's downloaded, we'll go over to our downloads folder, just extract it. It does have a subfolder inside, so you can just go extract here. We'll rename it Zelda Map Photos, just so it's easy to find. And visually, they all look like they're the same resolution. Go to properties, go to details, and they're all 703 by 469. So now we can just import that into our online photo ordering software, whatever company you're going through, and that'll automatically import it all in. Double check that it doesn't need cropping, but at this ratio, it should be exactly 6:4, and that's pretty much it. Again, doing it this way and printing it through Harvey Norman, at least my local Harvey Norman, I got the result that you saw at the start of the video, which was they were misaligned when cut, very, very slightly stretched, or just some stuff cut off, so not perfect. I'm not sure if Officeworks or Kmart, Target, Big W, if any of them would do a better job. But I think next time if I do have another go at it, I would definitely add a very, very small border around it. So if I select all, go resize. Again, it's not ideal, but change it to 90%. So it's 90. And then drag that in the middle, roughly. And have that printed. Then I can have a very small amount cropped off and it not affect the final image. But I would have to cut it all out manually, which would be quite tedious. I hope someone out there found today's video interesting or helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.